Hey, welcome to the channel. It's Jack, the muscle and mobility maker with Stronghold Strength and Conditioning. And today, we're going to be showing you how to fix those uneven leg lengths or uneven hips. But before we get into it, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Saturday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life and routine, and it doesn't get better than that. So take advantage of it. Ready? Let's go ahead and dive into this one. All right, like I said, today we're going to be showing you how to resolve your uneven hips, that lateral pelvic tilt, or that uneven leg length. And the first thing that's very important to understand here is if you have a leg length discrepancy, the idea of differing lengths of leg is simply because your stability is off and your body is shifted. It is not that your body has actual structural differences in size here in most cases for most people. So this can be resolved through corrective exercises that we'll show you today, and some mobility routine that you can use and basically follow to help bring your leg lengths back into a balanced structure where you're no longer tilting into one side of your body for stability to make up for that. So without further ado, as long as you have that understanding, let's go ahead and dive into the mobility routine so that you can start working at it. All right, for our first exercise here, we're going to start with a band anchored low on a post. We're going to be placing the high side hip that is elevated in the band here. And we're going into a classic spinal twist while the band is pulling down at my pelvis, okay? So the band is high up in the hip crease here. What I want to focus on is keeping my shoulder blades flat to the floor, rotated down into the ground as much as possible, and then rotating my knee and my hips the other direction here to open things up. I also want to think of reaching from my hip toward the ceiling. That top hip is reaching toward the ceiling, which will start to open up that shortened side. So we want the traction to be pulling my pelvis down as I create a small arch local to that area in my obliques there. Okay, we're gonna hang out here for 2 minutes and we're gonna use 2 different positions. And what you'll notice with like a lot of the work we're gonna do here, it's gonna be unilateral work. So we're focusing on opening up the shortened side and strengthening things unilaterally to bring them back into balance. Okay, so now I'm going to straighten the leg out. If you need here, you can also use a strap to help grab that foot to pull it up into full length. You'll notice that this actually helps you open up a little bit more at the pelvis to get things pulled up right around those obliques and that range just below the rib cage in this twist. We're going to keep the band on the post for the next one as well here. And what we're going to do is slide it up a little bit higher. So now we're at about hip height when you're standing on the post. This time I want the hand of the side that is shortened on the band here in the band. So I'm placing it through, I've got it interlaced between my middle and ring fingers, and what I'm going to do is go into a bit of a side plank here. So I want to open up as much as possible. I'm flexing my glutes, I'm letting the band pull my arm, and what I'm doing is reaching my leg on that top side as far as I can to once again open up. If we were looking from the back view here a little bit more, you would see that I'm almost kind of arching upward into that right side to open it up once again. So here we're playing as if my right side, which it was at one point, is my uneven side and my imbalanced side that is shortened up and sucked into my body for stability. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab a foam roller, and this time we're going to be placing the wide and open side, okay, so the drop side, on that foam roller and arching over the foam roller here. So I'm bending my top leg a little bit to the front just to help with stability and balance. I'm reaching the bottom leg straight out as much as possible here, and I'm allowing myself to just arch over that foam roller, and it's in the space here between my lowest rib and my pelvis, okay? So it's right over my obliques, and I'm trying to keep a straight alignment. So if you see my shoulder, it should be right in line with my hips as I'm doing this, okay? So we want to even think of our pelvis alignment. If my pelvis is not parallel to my rib cage here, that might put pressure. So I want you to approach this one carefully as you get into it. Be very conscious of your positioning and make sure that foam roller lines up your ribs and your pelvis in a parallel position so that it sits in there more comfortably than if you were pushing on the ribs and the shortened range of the pelvis there. So just kind of play with how that feels. Once you have that alignment, what you can start to do is actually add a little bit of a roll from front to back. So this will also kind of catch your transverse abdominis and your QL as well there. So you can do a little movement forward, a little movement back, and it's giving a little self-myofascial release in this area. And that is going to help us again as we arch over to open up that top side. All right, now that we've opened things up, we want to make it stick with some strength training here. So what I'm going to do is place the shortened side down toward the floor, and I'm going to let it stretch once again. When my hips are down, you can see this would open my ribs as my hips drop to the floor. But we really want to strengthen the external rotation of our hips here. So I have one foot on the floor and one foot bent, one leg bent, so that the outside of that leg is down on the floor. I'm driving the outside of that leg into the floor and I'm opening my knees. So imagine a band trying to pull my knees together, and I'm stretching that band apart here. Now what I want to do is push up into a good alignment. So you'll see that I neutralize my body as I thrust up here each time, focusing on driving my hips forward while pulling my knees apart. Now this should light up your glutes, and it should also give you a good challenge at those obliques here. With my shoulders, I just want to be conscious that my shoulder blades are down and back, anchored on my back, and I'm trying to touch them together as I open up each time. So I'm really allowing them to squeeze together. When I lower down, I'm not letting that shoulder collapse at all. I'm actually letting my body bend at the waistline there. The next one we're going to do is single leg stability, and here, this one you could even use as a test to really look at yourself here. You're going to see my unstable side here in a second here. So first of all, you'll see the stable side, my left leg, pretty smooth going up and down. I'm just showing a couple reps here, but this is a great way to practice the balance and stability that you need. The side that is weaker is going to dip out, and you can see my knee try to do it there a little bit on this right side, but here's where it really is going to show up when my balance gets lost as I press up, okay? So there we go. All right, live in action there. You see my imbalance that we've been working on, and it's much better than it had been in the past, but it's still there, right? Okay, so come back at it with stability. We're sitting and standing, trying to really focus on the stability of that position, the stability of that hip and knee. If you need, you could place a dowel in your hands right between your feet straight down so that you can actually help yourself slightly get up. So you're using a little bit of push from the arms down into the floor. This will actually help solidify your core in that position. And then speaking of core, we got one last one here. Suitcase, we're doing a little bit of lateral flexion here. So what I want to do is hold the weight again in the opposite side of my shortened side here, because I'm lifting that weight back up as I come back to neutral. So what I want to do is feel equal pressure between my feet here at all times. That is one of the biggest keys. It should always feel like both feet are equally driving through the floor as I push my hip into my free hand and reach the weight down the standing leg that's closest to. Okay, so those are big cues there. Equal balance between the feet, push the hip into the hand, so we're laterally flexing in a global sense, so everything's flexing together in that position. And then I'm shortening it back up from that side by my hand to bring myself back to neutral on this. So each of those you can spend anywhere from 10 to 15 reps to really build up strength and stability with some endurance in those positions. All right, and there you have it, a quick and simple mobility routine that you can follow to help you restore your leg length and bring the pelvis back into a neutral position. If you like this video, make sure you let me know by clicking that big thumbs up down below, and take a moment to share this one with a friend who's always talking about one side feeling weaker than the other, or maybe they just carry themselves with that uneven pelvis that is visible and noticeable when they're moving about. If that is the case, send it their way. You'll be thankful for it. And if you are somebody who directly wants help in resolving your uneven pelvis and leg length, then what I want you to do right now is drop down below in the description here to fill out the coaching application and get your mobility blueprint call scheduled. Once you're on the call, we'll assess where your mobility currently is, where it's lacking, what we can resolve through the mobility program itself if you're dealing with lower back pain from this, hip pain, whatever it might be, even knee pain is possible. All those things can be a result of your uneven hips and leg length. So if that is you and you want direct guidance in this, resolving it, then what I want you to do is right now fill out that coaching application and get your call scheduled so we can get you moving in the right direction. Last but not least, if you have not already, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Saturday I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life and routine, and it doesn't get better than that. Welcome to the Stronghold Army. See you next week.